Survivor's ready. Go!
Trump has spoken.
Boston Rob and Amber are gonna do it.
This is a business trip, as I like to say.
You, Brad Culpepper.
I'm tired of you and the fucking chicken.
You can call me the puppet master. They can be my little puppets.
It's not like you're making a deal with the devil here.
You get to milk your own milk, I guess.
Who the hell voted for me?
Chicken.
We got enough rocks here, too. We could build a pretty decent shelter just using rocks.
I'm supposed to talk Lamb, or you? You understand that better?
Direct from Hobart, it's time for the only Survivor podcast in Australia dedicated to Survivor, bringing you all the latest interviews, episodes, and opinions from the greatest reality show on the planet. It's Survivor Oz, and here's your host, Ben Waterworth.
Hello everybody and welcome to Survivor Oz, Australia's only Survivor podcast. Back here to talk about Season 30 of the greatest show on the planet, Survivor. I am Noah Groves because Ben is not here. I have no idea where Ben is, to be completely honest. He just ditched us, so...
he's at the footy show.
He's at the footy show, so glad we've covered that. So big shout out to Ben. Thanks for ditching us. But we'll live without him. Who needs them when you've got friends like us? I'm joined by 4 Ozlets from around the world. Well, one kind of around the world. The rest of us quite close. From Melbourne, it is the departed and now returned Ozlet, Cable Brandon. Welcome back, Cable.
Thanks for having me back.
Are you missing Ben tonight, or do you think you'll live?
I will live.
Cool. I'm glad we covered that. Also from the beautiful city of Melbourne and taking stabs at Tasmania last time we chatted, it is Alex Morella. Alex, welcome back.
Thank you. I'll never stop taking stabs at Tasmania. I feel I should have a sound effect too. I feel bad that, Cable gets this awesome one.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's your homework next week. Sound effects.
I already downloaded a sound effects app now. I'm really annoyed.
Well, if you can find something by the end, you can tell us all about your wonderful sound effects.
I'll probably play them randomly trying to make them work, and they'll be just nothing good.
Yeah, well, this is a trial and error. You can do what you want. There's no rules, Alex. Anarchy. It is also joining us. Also joining us is the King of Canada, Colin. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks, and as the only one on the other side of the world, I have a lot of pressure. I'm representing an entire hemisphere here, so let's see if I can hold it together for an hour.
Yeah, don't drop the ball. Make Pamela proud. And last, but will he be least? Probably not, but we'll find out by the end of this episode. Jared Lubeck, the King of Emus. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back. I'm just weighing up whether being the King of Emus trumps being the King of the whole of Canada, so I'm not quite sure what's more
personally,
prestigious.
I'd go with the Emus. I'm on Team Emu, to be honest.
Or as they're called in America, emus.
Emu. That's what Homer Simpson calls it, emus. Jared's the King of Emus. Alright, let's get into talking about some Survivor. Episode 12 of Worlds Apart. General thoughts on the episode. I have to say I'm a little bit disappointed. After 2 really strong weeks, I thought this was a bit of a blah episode. Alex, what did you think about this one?
That's probably kind of an okay way to describe it.
I don't need any sound effects. I've just got my natural voice. I'm like the guy from Police Academy.
Well, isn't that the way everyone describes
Thanks for that, Cable.
Whoever did that, props. That was great. Love Jabba. It was a bit of a down episode. There were moments in it that were good. But they kind of built up to this huge anarchy, and I don't even know what kind of... I'm still trying to get my head around why people voted in a certain way yet, so I'm kind of already looking forward to the next one.
Oh, you're counting down the days? That's good. That's something I can't say I've been doing much of this season. But,
yes.
Yep. Colin, what did you think of the episode?
Yeah, well, to quote a very famous Ozlet, it's definitely better than episode 3, but other than that, this is...
Yeah, where's Dylan?
This is definitely like a down point for the season, and I think every single scene in this episode can be separated in two categories: Rodney's birthday and counting votes. Because there was no strategy. It was just, oh, well, this person can vote this way and we can vote this way. And then it was just all Rodney's birthday. I mean, it was two storylines for the entire week, and one can hardly be considered a storyline. So it was pretty disappointing this close to the end of the season.
We should say a big happy birthday to Rodney. This is the second reality TV birthday we've recapped. So happy birthday, Laura, and happy birthday, Rodney. Jared, general thoughts on the episode?
Yeah, I also thought it was only okay. I mean, it did have some good moments. The reward was good. Rodney having his birthday, I don't know if that was good or not. It was a good episode for Carolyn. But I do think that kind of going into it, I had the feeling that it was going to be sort of one of those episodes that isn't that great, because we sort of all knew that Mike had the idol, so he was definitely safe. So it kind of just sort of was one of those episodes where you're like, well, what's going to happen? Mike's going to be safe. They're obviously going to try and vote him if he doesn't win. Like, there were so many things that were already set in motion that there wasn't really that much kind of suspense over what would happen, and then it kind of just transpired really quickly, sort of the whole vote and who was going home.
Cable, general thoughts on the episode, and who had a better birthday, Rodney or Artis?
Probably Artis.
Well, he was really mad on his birthday because he didn't want to switch the stalemate with the Calabao and Tandan, but at least he got something out of it.
No, I agree. I think it was a so-so episode. It wasn't... I agree with pretty much what all the other boys have said. Colin made a very good point. It was very, two storylines. You had obviously all the stuff with Rodney and his birthday, and the discussion about giving him a reward, and then sort of that not happening, and him obviously having then the ridiculous strategy of trying to do the whole I want to quit, all that sort of stuff, which kind of backfired in a way, because then everyone's like, "Well, quit or go," and then Mike did make a good point. Well, we'll keep you around. And then obviously, the late discussion about, which way we're going to go. We're going to vote Dan or Tyler. So, look, we'll get onto it a bit further on, I guess. But, I'm a bit disappointed Tyler went. And I don't know if it was a good move by Caroline and the others, but,
Yeah, we'll get
what's done is done.
Let's jump into some of the specifics of it. The after tribal scene, and we had Dan and Tyler going a bit at it, and Cable, do you think it was a good move for Will to tell Dan that he voted for him, or was that a bad move from Will?
No, I thought it was a good one. He wanted to be upfront, and I think whether it was fake by Dan or not, it seemed to solidify that at least the honesty there and some sort of level of trust. I think didn't Dan say something like, "If God is my witness, we've got to stick together," kind of thing. So, the one thing that did surprise me about it was the fact that he didn't flare up, and that he was quite understanding once things were explained. He didn't blow up, which I really thought he'd do a Rupert, like, who the hell voted for me kind of scenario. And I know Mike, that's what Mike was hoping. But look, I think then obviously Dan knew he was on the bottom, and that's why he was probably shitting bricks going into tribal tonight.
I think Mike and even Jeff, they're kind of building up this, the six, they're going to turn on each other. But I feel like that's never actually a thing. I feel like they always just recover from it, and it's never like there's fractures in it at all, really, but they build it up that way. But Jared, Will telling him, and all that other crap that was going down after Tribal Council.
Yeah, I thought it was the smart thing to do as well, just because I think that it would have got back to Dan anyway. I think he had a pretty good sort of... If he'd gone and talked to everyone individually, I think he could have worked that out. I mean, he already knew Tyler was one of the votes for him, and the only other way, I suppose, that people could have spun it would be to say that Mike was the other one who voted for him, and then sort of try and wing it that way. But I think eventually would have found out, and it was just better for sort of Will to be up front and just come to him straight away and say, "Look, I voted for you." I agree with you about the six. I think having somebody who is so likable and such an obvious kind of jury threat in Mike, it's such a deterrent for that group to kind of go a different way, because I think they all think amongst that six that they've kind of got the upper hand, and they think that against certain people they could win, but they sort of know that Mike is just going to clean sweep kind of a jury vote, so they sort of have to stick together even if they don't want to and don't fully trust each other.
Colin?
Yeah, the thing is that I think Cable was the one saying that like Mike was expecting that there'd be this big blow up or whatever, and whereas you said no, it's not something that really ever happens, and particularly this week because I think Mike's forgetting that 6 days earlier he was part of that group, so they all knew it was going to come down to 6 or 7 at some point, so they'd all prepared for it, so there wasn't really any drama. And even the thing with the votes for Dan, I mean, everybody pleaded a good case. I thought Tyler especially made a good point. It's like when your name comes up, you have to vote for somebody. And I don't think that that whole blow up was exactly what Mike was expecting, and I don't think it was exactly what the show was expecting either. I mean, it's not really making me look forward to the rest of the season because nobody's quite taking it as hard as they should.
Can't you just picture Phil Kogan being there like, so this 6, any chance you might be newly separated? Like, really pushing for it, but it's just not happening. Alex, Will confessing, Dan getting not really that angry, and Tyler handling it pretty well.
Well, I thought Will and Tyler did it reasonably well. I thought Dan kind of played it cool, but I don't know. I feel like again, like the others, I feel like there would have been more of something, but they all kind of just banded together. And it kind of seemed to be like that throughout the episode. There was just a lot of calmness, even though they're like, yeah, one of us is probably going to go, but, that's just how it is. Like, there was no kind of... There just didn't seem to be urgency anywhere.
Yeah, it's just... I'm not buying this 6 are turning on each other. Although maybe next week, if Mike wins immunity, they might be forced to. The next day, obviously, we had Rodney's birthday. I'm not sure if anyone knew that it was Rodney's birthday.
Really?
And we had a hilarious quote from Will where they needed subtitles. I don't have the exact quote, but like, "Is somebody's birthday?" They had to put subtitles up on the screen. So what the hell Will was actually saying there. We'll talk a bit more about the birthday maybe after but let's jump into the reward challenge. Which the challenge itself wasn't all that good, but I thought it was a pretty entertaining reward challenge. Thanks for that, Cable. A pretty entertaining reward challenge just in the drama. It was a close one. Lots of things went wrong. Rodney's birthday was on the line. Alex, did you enjoy the reward challenge?
Oh, look, it was a very basic challenge, but it's always nicer when it's a close challenge at least. And you kind of were going, it's Rodney's birthday on the line, and that was kind of, at least that kind of made it a little bit more entertaining than they're going to get like a little bit of chicken and help some kids. So it was nice to have Rodney's birthday on the line.
Not just chicken, but also school supplies, bikes, ribs. Jeff Probes, I swear he draws out every single thing now, no matter if it's food or not. Colin, reward challenge?
Well, a couple things. First, thank God he didn't go children, because that would have been really creepy. Also, I mean, I think the one thing that should be noted is we've been seeing this thing about Rodney's losing streak, and if you watch this episode closely enough, you can start to see some humor in why Rodney keeps failing, because he keeps doing everything wrong, and Probst keeps calling him out like he's a child, and he made a mistake on something. It's like, no, Rodney, you can't climb the ladder yet. No, Rodney.
Yes, I loved that ladder. Jeff was getting in. That's not right. That's not right.
Rodney always
he always
has this look on his face too, like what did I do wrong? I can't wait for next week just to see how Rodney's going to respond to failing again. But the other part of this challenge that was interesting was again Mike doing it all himself and refusing to let other people in there. Now it helped and they ended up winning, but Mike's not really building a good reputation of himself as a team player when he has people literally begging behind him, come on, let us try. And he's like, no. And even if he does win, I mean, he's not really a team player at this point. So I don't know if he'll really ever even have a chance at an ally again going forward.
Yeah, imagine if they lost that one. His stock would fall into negative. It's already quite low, so that could have backfired. Jared, do you enjoy the reward challenge? And just a side note, I can't stand when they do team challenges on odd number people. Like, so one person has to sit out. That's bullshit. Do the team challenges on the even numbers.
Of course it was Will again, too,
yeah.
right? Like...
Yeah. Yeah, Will was never getting picked for that when one person was sitting out. Sad he didn't get to sit in a massive chair like Dan from Nicaragua, but that's another story. Jared, reward challenge?
Yeah, I thought it turned out a lot better than like initially it looked. Looking at it looked pretty boring, but it did have some good moments. The entire sort of ladder sequence and Jeff Yellen was great, although I don't know why the art department or challenge designers decided to make the ladder have like these wonky rungs at just very stupid angles. Like, it was just really dumb. It's kind of like, oh, this challenge looks a bit basic. Oh, I know what we can do. We can put the rungs at weird angles. That'll make it difficult. But yeah, overall, I mean, fairly basic and just kind of lots of elements from other challenges just sort of strung all into one. I do agree about the whole like odd numbers and then doing teams is a bit stupid. And I mean, I think they should have just at least done that thing where they let the person sitting out choose a team to back who they think is going to win. And if that team wins, then that person gets to go too. Like, I think that's kind of what should be done if it's odd numbers and they do a team challenge.
Yeah, I think they did that in Samoa, if my memory is correct, with Natalie Wyatt. That's the better way to go in that scenario, I think. Cable, did you enjoy a reward challenge?
Yeah, I just want to go back to just before, obviously, the challenge, and we didn't see it on camera, but they picked sides, and obviously Will was the one left out, and I agree. I don't think at this stage, I think team challenges leaving one person out, where it could potentially the same person a couple of times, like a Will or a Dan or someone that's maybe not as athletic. I don't think that's necessarily fair. But the one thing that does sort of shit me a little bit about Survivor over this whole evolution it's had over 30 seasons, there's inconsistencies. Like one challenge, like when they're split into teams, it's we'll draw for teams, we'll randomly draw spots or whatever. And then the next one, it seems like, oh, we'll pick a captain and then you choose a side. Like, why don't they just stick to one format and film it? And if it's not, interesting television, then you don't have to show it. But I think even just the way Dan picked Rodney and Tyler, and sometimes that adds to the to the storyline, like who you pick and who you leave out. Again, it might not have been interesting and relevant to show us tonight, but I'd rather see captains pick teams for challenges like that instead of them being randomly drawn. But again, that's where I sort of pull my hair out. I just think sometimes it's you need a lot of luck in Survivor to win, but I just think production is very inconsistent with how they set up the game. But yeah, that's just my rant.
Did you enjoy the challenge?
I did. Oh, actually, going back to the ladder as well. The one thing, again, it's the way they showed the challenge to us. Like when they show the intro and how it's run, they didn't say like the rungs had to be exactly in the right place or have to be locked away for him to climb up. Why, if you're tall enough, why can't you climb up? Why did the rung have to be in the exact same spot?
Because that's not right. That's not right.
But that's what I mean. I don't know. Some challenges they do that, and then some they don't. Again, it's like I feel like Jeff was. Yeah, you're right. Like almost like picking on Rodney. Like sometimes they enforce the challenge rules, and then sometimes they don't. I just don't like how it's really become really inconsistent over the years, and I don't know. Rodney had a terrible challenge again.
Let's talk a bit about. Well, not a bit. It's basically the whole freaking episode. But Rodney's birthday, Cable. Do you think that someone should have given it up? Should he suck it up? And did you enjoy this kind of half episode of Rodney's birthday, or was it just more?
I'm a Rodney fan, and I know he was prone to outbursts, but I was really surprised. Maybe not surprised he didn't say something to the camera, but the way he vented at the challenge and obviously got upset about it. Obviously there was strategy behind it later on, but I thought he was like a little brat. I thought it was pretty disappointing the way he carried on. But then having said that, Jeff knew to push that button, and Jeff obviously prodded and it's his birthday. Is anyone interested in swapping? And I don't know. I sort of think, well, Jeff maybe instigated that a little bit or knew that was a potential to happen. And I mean, Jeff knows how to get good TV, I guess.
Yeah, Rodney's not very good at following his 3 C's, cool, calm, collective. Like, he invented those rules, but he's not the best example of it. Jared, Rodney's birthday, and do you think someone should have given it up, or he should just suck it up?
Personally, I feel like he should just suck it up. But from a game point of view, I do think that it would have been smart for either Carolyn or Sierra to give it up. I think Rodney's kind of the type of person where you could easily buy his loyalty just by doing that. Really, kind of like cement a final two together or just some sort of pact. I feel like if either of them had given up that spot, then they could have called on that favor later down the track. I think that he probably would have returned the favor in a vote or even in another award challenge.
Do you think if this cast had got to see Sam Wandel-Sir that Carolyn or Sierra would have given it up after that Switchaholics last season?
I don't know if they would have given it up this episode. I think the thing with this reward is it's kind of that, it's the one that's that cultural experience, and I mean they're giving sort of back to like these kids and this community. So I do think that this particular challenge has kind of a bit more incentive to go on the reward than just like, oh yes, we get to eat. So I think potentially if it had been a different reward and they'd seen last season, then they would have considered giving it up. But I do think what the reward was played a big part in them not changing their mind.
Colin, Rodney, it's your birthday. Happy birthday, Rodney.
Well, he did go a little bit too far, which is pretty much normal for Rodney, and I don't think it's really going to hurt him. Everybody's familiar with the way he is at this point. I don't know how many people really promised him, though. I mean, he kept talking about Carolyn, but did anybody even see a scene during the episode where Carolyn said she'd give it up to him?
Yeah, I feel like Sierra summed it up best, that it was probably more that Carolyn would take it, not give it up to him.
And that's kind of where these team challenges are hurting a little bit, because it's always fun to see the dynamics, especially when you get this close to the end of the game, to see who really wants to take this person. These team ones, it's not really the same. I don't think that anybody really in a team scenario like this is going to give it up, and I'm pretty sure what we saw last season in San Juan del Sur had more to do with the fact that it was people playing with loved ones. So, sometimes you owe a person even if you haven't played with them just because you owe, their loved one. I don't think that's something that we're ever really going to see again, just like I doubt we're ever going to see something like Burning the Clues again. So this is more normal Survivor. It's just, it would have been a lot more interesting had especially the producers known going in that there is this thing about Rodney wants to go on a challenge, and know that they've all manipulated certain challenges to certain people's advantages before. So had they just done this as an individual challenge, they would have gotten what they wanted out of it, and we would have seen something more out of where the allegiances lie.
You mentioned the family member thing, but from this season episode, it seemed like Carolyn is Rodney's mum, by what Rodney was saying at the shelter, so no excuses from Mama C, because Rodney's her adopted son now. Alex, did you enjoy the whole birthday thing, or was this just painful to watch?
It was a little bit awkward and cringeworthy, but that's kind of been this season in a whole, so I wasn't really, too surprised by that. I do agree with Jared's point, I think, about, it could have been a really smart move, because Rodney's someone where you kind of just tip him a tiny bit one way and it'll be enough for him to fall that way for a significant amount of time. So I thought it would have been, whether it be for a jury vote, whether it be for just getting an extra vote, I think it would have been smart for Sierra or Carolyn. But, it was always going to be a tough one once that reward specifically came out. You could just see it on their faces.
Yeah, let's talk briefly about the reward. I'm very happy that this is now a recurring staple reward since Cagayan. Like, they used to do it a bit back in the day, but now it's every season, which I'm happy about. But I feel like Cagayan and San Juan del Sur, and I don't like to constantly shit on this season, but I feel like those two seasons did this village reward a hell of a lot better. Thank you, Cable. Alex, do you enjoy these kind of village ones? And was this up there, or was this just boring?
Well, it's better than just watching people eat food, I guess, because that makes me hungry. So at least watching them play with kids and things was a little bit more entertaining. And you can see that it's really, really nice on the inside. I honestly can't even remember the Cagayan and San Juan del Sur ones. Woo backflip. Look, nothing beats a woo backflip. So unless Sierra had actually started barrel racing correctly or something with kids, that could have possibly beaten it. But they kind of went conservative on that. I mean, it's nice TV. It's good to see them kind of on a human level and all that, like just out of the game. But that's really it. It's just a bit better than watching a normal reward.
Yeah, even though I think this is the worst one, I still do enjoy this reward. Colin, what do you think of the villages?
I think it would have been nice if we saw a little bit more out of it. There was a couple of background shots of them playing with the kids, and then somebody was narrating, oh, this was a good experience, but we didn't see any individual scenes out of this. I mean, the most memorable thing out of it, unfortunately, was the mile-high plate that they were eating, which I don't know.
That was like Christmas dinner at Noah's house. That plate.
You do have to wonder, like, these are orphans in Nicaragua, needy children, so why are the survivors getting this massive plate? What were the children eating during that challenge was what I was wondering.
Yeah, spread the love. Like, yeah, I hope the camera didn't get the kids having to have chicken nuggets or something like that, but you talked about how it's not really personal. I feel like San Juan del Sur, we had really good scenes with Jacqueline can't have babies and John's feeding ice cream to kids and playing softball. And then Cagayan, we had Wu backflipped and Spencer saying he hates kids. Like, I just feel this one.
And Shane Powers having cigarette with boys in Panama.
Yeah, we can't forget Shane. Hashtag vote for Shane.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. Jared, did you like this village reward or village rewards in general?
I think they're always good. I mean, this wasn't as good as some of the others, but I mean, it's still sort of better than your stock standard reward.
If this had the lesbian shopkeeper from the village in Panama, I think this could have been the number one, but don't think we'll ever see her back for a second chance. Hashtag vote back lesbian shopkeeper. Cable, village reward.
Yeah, look, it was pretty plain Jane. I mean, there wasn't much there. Mike got his little confessional as per usual, and then Sierra got to talk about the horse that looked very undernourished if you looked at its rib cage. But yeah, there wasn't much there, was there, really? Yeah. I don't think Rodney missed out on much, put it that way.
Well, I still feel like it would be a great experience TV-wise.
Yeah, no. Sorry, I don't mean to fob it off like that. I mean, it is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, but I think I have to agree with what's sort of been said. I think compared to all those sort of challenges where you go in and you give something back to the community, to the country you're playing Survivor in, whether it's, Ethan and Lex in Africa, and that, you see all these great moments. I just felt like there was not much shown, or maybe there wasn't, I don't know, maybe they didn't get a lot of good stuff, I don't know, but it just felt very bleh.
I think Ethan and Lex was probably my number one village. So
yeah.
Maybe that should be a top 10 if there's even been 10 of them. But Cable, Raging Rodney back at camp, and we also mentioned his Carolyn impression. Not quite as good as his Mike or Dan. Like, it wasn't. It's better than any impression Ben's ever done, but it wasn't brilliant. So the Raging Rodney, and what did you make of his plan? Was that just completely utter ridiculous?
My initial thought when he brought it up was, has he even watched Survivor before? It was more like, all of a sudden I'm like, this is just really dumb. Like, I see where you're coming from, but everyone's almost saying, look, Mike's going to play his idol no matter what if he doesn't win immunity or whatever. So I think it was a foregone conclusion, but I don't think Rodney was getting past that point. And even the way, even if it is an act, and maybe he told Carolyn to the side or something, but the way he acted and went off when they're in the tent eating, I just thought it was childish. It doesn't endear you anyone. But again, maybe it's a strategy to get to the end, because I mean, who wouldn't take him now? Him and Dan, as if you wouldn't take them to the end. They're not going to get votes.
Well, what if it's Dan, Rodney, and Will final three?
Well, that's a different story. But I think if you're a Carolyn, a Mike, Sierra, or Tyler, if he had stayed in the game, I think you'd be taking Dan and Rodney, or at least trying to get them as close to the end as possible.
It's just, Jared, what do you make of it? It's just, it doesn't seem that logical, because then Mike might be chucking votes on to Rodney, and that's not what you want if he's going to be playing the idol.
No, like really, it wasn't well thought through, and just the best thing about it was just watching other people's reactions to him and how stupid they thought it was, and them telling it to him, but then him just being so excited that I've come up with this genius plan. Look at me, master strategist. I think like something like that, it's really stupid. The only chance you have of like pretending that you want to quit and then getting somebody out of the game, really, I think is potentially really early on in the game if you were to have an idol yourself and it's only a couple of days in and you pretend that you can't handle it, which I mean, what's the point of doing something that early in the game? But this late, there was no way that Mike was going to fall for something like that.
I loved Will's soul confessional where he hasn't spoken in like 2 weeks, but then we got a random Will. So the plan didn't work, and back to the drawing board. It just made me laugh because we barely heard from him. Thanks for that, Cable.
Sorry.
Colin, Raging Rodney, and his crackpot plan.
The plan reminded me a lot of Sandra's Pearl Island's plan, where she's like, I'm just going to play sad and say that I want to go home. And it didn't work then, and it didn't work now. And it was, I think, pretty clear to everybody watching that this was never going to work. I think the problem is that, as I think it was Tyler was saying in the episode, you know, Mike still votes for somebody, so you're banking on the fact that you're hoping Mike doesn't play his idol, but then the fact is there's still a shot he's going to play the idol anyway. So Rodney's plan basically puts everybody else at risk. It didn't make any sense at all. I love Rodney as a character, and I don't think this is any reflection on his game as a whole, because everybody probably has some wild strategy they try, and everybody at camp's like, yeah, I'm not falling for it. But the way that they seem to be including scenes like this in with Rodney is just making it clearer and clearer every week that the guy's probably not going to win the game, because they are giving him a bit of that dumb strategist edit. And I don't think that's necessarily a reflection of his game as a whole, but it seems to be how they're portraying him right now, especially in this episode.
My question is, and maybe we'll touch on this later, but who the hell is winning this game? Like, does no one win this game? Is that like the final twist? Like, because I cannot gauge at all.
Yeah, the final twist is the winner. There's no winner. They actually get to go in the next season, the second chance season, so they have to start again.
At this point, I don't see any winner. Alex, Rodney, do you like him? I haven't really got your opinions at all much this season on Rodney and all his craziness this episode. Washing dishes on his birthday.
Oh, look, we've all had to work on our birthday, Rodney. It's okay. We've all had to endure things like that. That's kind of normal. I used to referee on my birthday, so I just got abused by people. And you tell them it's your birthday, they don't really seem to care. I do like Rodney. I think I've liked him a lot more than, well, everyone's pretty much since Joe left. So I'm more than happy to ship a Rodney victory. His plan was god-awful. I think the only way it could have actually worked is if he'd done something like win immunity and then given it up at tribal to someone else. Maybe they were like, geez, this guy's actually really serious. But
that's a good idea.
But I think without doing something like that, there's no way to demonstrate that you're that serious and enough to trick someone like Mike, who's actually got his head screwed on for the moment. So, I mean, just a lot of talk, but not much really that could work.
Alex, immunity challenge. Boring, or did you like it? Because I thought boring. Same old, blur, endurance, whatever.
Yeah, that's all we're getting at the moment, and it's, you know, the only nice part's knowing that the 53-year-old female's beaten all the dudes, which is always intense.
It's Jane Bright all over again.
Exactly.
Colin, immunity challenge, did you like it?
I liked it in that it seemed like it was a hard one. It was more than just stand in a spot. Like, I like to see people sweating a little bit and getting frustrated. Some of the falls looked pretty harsh, but they were like 3 feet off the ground, if that. So I would have liked to have seen this challenge with them maybe 10 feet in the air. That would have made it a lot more interesting to watch.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that would be good. I think One World did this challenge better, believe it or not. One World did something better. I think...
Can you imagine if they were 10 feet off the ground, you'd hear this.
That was a good one. I've got to give you props for that one, Cable. Jared, immunity challenge. Ah!
Oh, I just hated that it was endurance again. I mean, to have, out of 4 challenges, 3 of them based on endurance, but just, I suppose, testing a different muscle or whatever, was a bit stupid. I mean, I just think they need to sort of plan out challenges better to have a good mix of something. I mean, we've had 2 challenges that weren't the sort of puzzle one, and then last week's that weren't exactly the same as kind of everything else. So, I mean, they just need to plan things better and add in sort of testing some different elements. It frustrates me.
Cable, the immunity challenge, were you happy that Carolyn won it?
Yeah, I kind of was, actually. I was sort of hoping more so Tyler would win it, but I was happy that she would win it, not thinking she'd maybe change her game up. Look, I don't mind it as a challenge, but I sort of agree. I think they've got to really space out the amount of endurance ones and mix them up enough so you've almost got like a puzzle one, or one that's a bit more of a, get from here A to B and do this and do that, and instead of just having these sort of boring stand in the same spot kind of challenges, which we've had a lot this season too. Yeah.
Let's discuss some of the pre-tribal and the tribal council. Bear with me here. I've got a question that you can call me an idiot if you want.
Well, we probably will.
You probably will, yes. I'm taking Ben's spot of being the village idiot for the week.
No, you can never take that title off him.
I've always seen you as the village idiot.
He is international village idiot.
Yeah,
all around.
True point. You can never beat him in the village idiot scale. Good point.
I tried hard this week.
Yeah. So my idiot comment is Carolyn the female Brian Heidick? Colin, I don't know if you want to touch on that one.
Just before I answer, from what you're asking, in what way?
In what way did you say?
As far as the comparison to Brian, what way are you thinking?
Yeah.
Explain they both did porn in the past. No, I'm joking. It's a joke.
Come on, don't be like that to Mama C.
Well, it could be true, but it's a joke. I just mean, like, my new nickname for her is Cold-Hearted Carolyn. Like, she voted Tyler out this week. She wrote Tyler's name down, and I was like, she was the star of this episode, and she seems to get by with having no emotion in the game, but also playing a well-social game and showing emotion. I'm sure she does care for these people, but when it comes to game comes first for her, and she'll have no trouble slicing Tyler's throat if it benefits her game, but she's still friendly with everyone out there. Cold-Hearted Carolyn, I'm calling. I love it, but maybe not Brian Heidick.
Yeah, no, I can kind of see the comparison. I mean, I didn't even notice until this past week, like what you're saying about her kind of being cold, like Mrs. Freeze, if you want to call her that now. But she laughed at one point this week, and it occurred to me at that moment, I'm like, I don't...
Yes, I noticed that.
I never even occurred to me until I saw that. I'm like, I don't think I've seen Carolyn laugh yet. And that kind of does show how good she
was
plays.
During the reward.
Yeah.
And I noticed that. I wrote that down. I'm like, oh, that's new for Carolyn. Like, we're getting a bit of emotion.
But even, did you notice that really weird turn and look she did down the camera in one of the confessionals? It was just totally like cartoony. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, maybe they made her do that. But,
well, I think another area where I think that you could be onto something is that we've been saying, can anybody win this game? And I think at this point, Carolyn is the only clear winner of the game because she's the only one we haven't really seen a negative side to. It's like at this point in San Juan del Sur, it was like if Natalie wins, then it's obvious. If anybody else wins, we're all going to be scratching our heads. And I feel like that's kind of the way it is with Carolyn. She's not as obvious though, and maybe that's what their trick is this season to try to fool the audience, is to have her be in the background a little bit more, only pop up every once in a while, but she'll be that player that once the season's over and they put the package together and during the reunion show, suddenly it clicks and you realize it was always going to be her.
Yeah, I was going to bring up the Natalie comparison. That Natalie, she was there, but she was kind of a background character, and it was around this point, like 4 episodes before the end, that suddenly her edit just shot out, and she was the major player, and the end game was all about Natalie. If this same edit continues next week with Carolyn, maybe we're on to the new editor's tricks after the Tyson Cochran Tony edits. They've kind of changing things up a bit. Cable, am I crazy in thinking we've got a Mrs. Freeze here with a bit of Natalie in it?
Not crazy, but I mean, I don't know. I think they're still different people. I think she's obviously come to play the game. She knows what she's doing. I think she's been a very more an under the radar person in regards to the editing. But I think if you go back, like Colin just said, if you actually got just clips of everything she's been involved in, I think she's been really, really good. I mean, she's there when they're talking, but sometimes she'll sit back and really just take it in and observe. Then she'll come up with an idea. And even just before she went to Tribal tonight and sort of said about, I'm thinking maybe Tyler, because he knows I've got an idol. He's the only one as far as she knows, that he's the only one that knows. So taking him out, it gets rid of a threat to her, but also someone that knows, I guess, her secret. And then she also knows that Dan's got that advantage, so she can use that to her advantage potentially as well. So I think she's definitely playing a winner's game for sure.
Yeah, I think... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, well, and going on to what you're saying, like, I really didn't see her getting rid of Tyler this early and being so cutthroat. But, I mean, she's there to win $1 million, and maybe it does come down to that whole white-collar thing. Like, she knows what it's like to sometimes, get rid of an employee or make the hard calls. And, again, it's just it literally is like a Brian Heidegger
business trip. It is Brian Heidegger.
But it is. It's a business decision. It was a smart decision. Like, personally, because I like Tyler, I was a bit disappointed because I still think Tyler can help potentially get rid of Mike in the next potential challenge, but and he's a tight ally for her. But look, she's gone down that path, and maybe she's got something up her sleeve with Dan and Sierra or Mike. I'm not too sure, but she's definitely stepped up her game.
Can I just say?
I feel like.
Can I just say really quickly that the whole idea about should she have voted out Tyler? I think that Cable said, it's just a business trip or whatever for her, and Tyler is also white collar. He would understand that. I don't think she's going to cost herself a jury vote by doing that. Yeah, it would have been worth it in a way to take out Dan, so you take out the advantage. But at the same time, if you have to choose between having Tyler, a solid ally, and winning the favor of Dan, who gives you one extra vote, I think it's worth it in the long run for her to actually have Dan on her side, in the next episode.
Yeah, I think the Tyler vote was the best move and a really good decision because, no one in the game at all. This was straight out the Tony playbook with the LJ vote. She got Tyler before Tyler could get him, even though they were aligned, and before he could get too close to the end. And let's face it, if they're in a final three, Tyler probably beats Carolyn, so there's no threat of that. She's got the idol. She's still got allies. So I think it was a really good decision.
But even the pressure of even whether it was tonight or future episodes future tribals, even the pressure for her to maybe share that idol with Tyler to save him, she takes that problem away as well. Mm-hmm. Or maybe even the guilt. Like that means it's hers. It's solely her idol. She doesn't have to feel guilty or feel like she's under pressure to use it to save him. She just can use it for herself now and keep going forward.
Yeah, and I feel like it was a good point Colin made. I really do feel like Tyler would still vote for her at the end. Like, it's not as if she lost the vote. Alex and Jared, Alex, you go. We need to get your opinion on this. Carolyn as a player, Mrs. Freeze, and was that the right move?
I actually thought, I remember back in episode 1 watching her, I went, she's got this whole business trip thing about her where she, I think it was just the way she spoke about the idol and things even. It was just normally it's this, calculated move, bang, gone, here's an idol. It just seemed it did seem a little bit Brian Haydick in kind of the way it just kind of everything was structured to a point and it just worked.
I'm
So
telling you, I think I'm onto something here. It's all falling into place.
I can definitely understand that. As for the move itself, again, can't fault it in terms of her side of things. I think Tyler did it poorly, but I think she did it very well in how it all got organised and moving her forward in the game.
Do you think there's any benefits to trying to get Dan out, or do you think Tyler, that just trumps everything?
I think that's still the best move going forward. I mean, Dan's got, an extra vote for one tribal, but Dan still feels he's loyal and will be loyal now that that's been shown, I think, even if it's weird that Dan voted the other way. So the only thing that'll be interesting is to see whether people actually thought others were voting that way more than anything else.
Well, if we know anything about the 6 or the 5 now, past things don't even count for anything. They just move on every time. But I feel like Carolyn is, unless something goes really wrong next week, she's in the Final 4. And she's good at challenges. She could win her way to the Final 3. So unless she gets super blindsided, she's got the idol and she'll be safe. So we could be seeing Carolyn in the Final 3. Jared, what do you make of just all of Carolyn this week? We got a lot of Carolyn finally after episode 1, because I loved her after episode 1 and it's been a while. And do you think the Tyler move was good?
Yeah, I love Carolyn, and I can see kind of the Brian comparison. I think the main difference is that I feel like Brian kind of had a lot of people really close, thinking they were kind of his second in charge and they were going to the end together, whereas I think Carolyn has people who think that she's on their side, but I don't know if she's as close to people as Brian was to people, which I think is also a good thing, because I think in terms of jury vote, so that's sort of going to serve her better if she makes it to the end. I do think the Tyler move was smart. I don't know if it was the best move, but I do think that getting rid of somebody who knew she had the idol was asking her about it. Also, sort of the only other person who knew about Dan's advantage gives her a lot more power. And originally, sort of, I thought that the idol hasn't been mentioned in ages. I kind of got the feeling that Carolyn was going to play it wrong, or she was going to go home with it in her pocket. But I think it sort of coming up and her making a move where now that she's the only one who knows about it and kind of mentioning that, I get the feeling that she's going to sort of play it the right way and could save herself that way.
I think the one negative, well, there's probably a few, but the major negative of voting Tyler out is Tyler was kind of a shield. He was like a big threat while she could kind of hide behind him. Now it's all out in the open, so she can't hide behind Tyler getting voted out. But we are down to 6, so maybe that doesn't matter. Colin, you brought up a good point in the chat here. Is this officially the longest gap between finding an idol and still having it? I'm trying to think, but I can't really think of any other ones like this. Anyone got anything? Terry Deeds, but maybe not.
And if she takes this thing home, because there's a chance she doesn't even need to use it, if she takes this thing home, then that's a record that pretty much will never be broken.
Yeah, it will be like the Denise of Idols, survived every tribal council. I can't think of any other ones. Like Terry had his for a while, but not that long.
Yul had his from about day 4, but his was a different idol, so it's hard to kind of even work that into.
But where did Carolyn find hers on day 2? Or
it must have been 2 or 3, because it was episode 1. So that is major props to her that she could have the idol since then and not had to have used it yet. So let's talk Tyler, because we can talk Will, but there's not really much to say, or Sierra. Tyler, I feel like the editors made a huge mistake here. I think they should have built Tyler up much more than they did. This should have been the Jeremy vote out of Worlds Apart. This should have been the epic big thing. But because we've barely seen him and he's played no involvement in the whole pre-merge or barely any in the merge, it was more of a Reed than a Jeremy vote. And it was just like, I was not shocked for a single second. And they played that clip right before he was voted out where, yes, I would be shocked if I got voted out. It was just like, Tyler is so done for. I feel like they should have made this a huge thing, and this should have been the defining vote of the season, Colin.
I completely agree. And the thing that's even more frustrating is it's really funny that this cast is talking about this season like it's one of the greatest seasons ever, but we just came off of 3 weeks in a row where if it weren't for the editors, this was a pagonging. The editors really found a way to make that work and make it exciting, even though it was the most obvious votes 3 weeks in a row. So here we have a major change up. We have a huge player being taken out, and not necessarily the fault of how this episode was edited, but the fault of how they didn't properly build him up throughout the season. It was just flat. It was like, okay, well, Tyler's gone. That's that, you know? I think that it is possible he did hide his game a lot, but we also know for at least a few weeks people have been on to him. There must have been tons of material they could have used to make him a major character, make the audience think this is your guaranteed winner, and then he gets voted out, and this is one of the greatest vote outs in Survivor history, and it didn't happen at all.
Yeah, this was... I used the Reed comparison, maybe more John Mish, like, but John was a bigger character. I just feel like they could have built this up. And I think one of the biggest things, I'm not sure if anyone's watched the Tyler Ponderosa, but he's a lot different in the Ponderosa, and he says in the game he was trying to play a background role, so that maybe they didn't have many entertaining things to use from Tyler, because both Tyler and Carolyn are like the monotone kind of people.
It was the Danny Boatwright, what do you call it? Strategy.
But, I mean,
yes, that was
do we really think they had a lot of material in the last 2 weeks with Jen to work out, but they made a suspenseful vote out of that somehow?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. So, well, I may as well ask you while you're speaking, Colin. Tyler, good player. I feel like if we were doing our ranking thing, never again, but if we were doing it, I feel like he could make it top 150 or so. I thought Tyler played an all-around good game, even though we barely saw him.
Oh, easily. And I think the majority of people left in the game don't even come close to him. He didn't really make any mistakes. I mean, the only mistake is that there are maybe too many advantages going into the finals. You have two hidden immunity idols. You have an immunity a person can win and 2 extra votes. And with only 7 people, it pretty much was just a given. If Tyler doesn't have one of those advantages, he's gone. I don't think he really made mistakes in the game, and I think that he's easily a top 150 player.
Jared, your opinions on Tyler, both his vote out and him as a player altogether?
I like Tyler. I do think that kind of the editors not building him up probably was down to him not having too many entertaining confessionals. I think he can sort of talk about the game really well and kind of illustrate his spot in the game, and he's very sort of strategic and game smart, but obviously that doesn't always come across as great viewing, just seeing somebody sort of talk about the numbers and this needs to happen and that needs to happen. But I do think that he was a good player throughout the game. I think we've sort of seen that even really his performances at Tribal Council and kind of last week being under the pressure of being a target and being able to just kind of like calmly sort of talk your way out of that and talk other people out of making a move, I think is really sort of undervalued in the game, and that was really well done kind of last week with his whole just playing down. Sometimes you just don't need to make a move yet. Sometimes you've got a good group and you've got to stick with them and wait. And I think being able to sort of keep a group of people, especially kind of this group who are a little bit erratic and all over the place, keep a group like that together takes somebody with a lot of sort of patience and perception.
Were you disappointed to see him go? Because I feel like, again, I was kind of like, meh, I liked him, but there was just no build-up. I already knew. Is sad to see him go or not too much?
I'm a little bit, just because he was one of kind of only maybe 2 people who are actually left and kind of want to see win. But I mean, overall, I'm not hugely depressed. I don't think it's going to have a major impact on the episodes and sort of my enjoyment of them. I don't think it's going to change at all, really. So not overly depressed, but a little bit, just because that's somebody who I would have liked to see win the game.
Alex, Tyler?
Solid player, calculated in his moves, which is always very nice. My biggest query on him in this episode was, what was his actual plan going into Tribal this week? Because he kind of, according to the thing, he's voted for Mike. So was he backing Carolyn to vote for someone else? Because it kind of seems like for someone who usually seems to have some kind of contingency plan, he kind of went in with nothing. And it kind of just confused me as to what was he actually trying to... Like, everyone knew Mike was playing an idol. I feel like he would have been the first person to try and be proactive about it. But instead he kind of just almost let it happen. So I was just trying to figure out what he was trying to... where he was going with it.
I think he thought that they would be voting Dan and it would be a Dan blindside. But
I think
that didn't work.
I thought he'd take that into his own hands and make sure he votes Dan. That was one thing I thought he'd be more interested in, because I feel like he's taken things into his hands to make sure of it. So I'm just surprised that he's left it with other people in that situation, because I feel like he'd want to be in control of that.
Yeah, him voting Mike was a poor decision, I think. And I'm just looking here. He's voted for Who's Gone Home almost every time except for Joe, so that's a good track record. Cable, lay it on me. You said you were sad to see Tyler go.
I kind of was, because I still think in this game he still had a lot to offer if it was him, Carolyn, Mike, and that getting to the ending. I like having a good scrap at the end. People that you can sort of equally see have got a chance of winning. I don't like having too many goats go to the end and having it too predictable. So I think Tyler still being in the mix would have definitely added more interest for the rest of the season for myself personally. Whether he was going to win, that's a completely different story. It all depends, I guess, on Carolyn and Mike, maybe even Rodney. I mean, who knows? But I sort of agree. I think Mike was always going to play his idol. Why couldn't they blindside him in that they didn't give him any votes and they just vote the next person out?
Well,
just let him flush the idol.
I think if they put no votes on him, I feel like that would cause more panic towards the... Although I guess if they're all voting Tyler...
Yeah. Oh, no, I mean from the Tyler point of view, not necessarily everyone has to, they don't have to not throw votes at Mike, but I think they could have, like someone said, like he didn't have to vote for Mike. He could have made sure it was Dan that was going home. So he could have said to Will, like you and me, we definitely vote for Dan, make sure it's a fait accompli. But, obviously that's not the way it panned out. But.
Speaking of Tyler, Julian finally loses one of his members in the sweep. He's had Rodney and Tyler for all this time, the greedy git, so he's finally down to one person. He's on equal footing with everyone. So we'll see how that goes. I've got Carolyn, and we've been talking her up, so maybe I'll finally win some money, but she'll probably be 5th place, like always.
Jimmy wins.
Yeah, Jimmy always wins. He's always with women, Tim Tams, and money. Jimmy lives the high life. Damn you, Jimmy. All right. Confessional count. This week, Mike got 5. He still got 5, but it was kind of a quiet week for Mike because he couldn't really do too much, really. But 5 is a quiet week for Mike, apparently. And he's on 55, so he's already passed a hell of a lot of winners so far. Rodney got 5 this week. He's on 48. Carolyn got 7 this week. She got the most this week. She's on 36 total. Dan got 5, and he's on 32. Will got 1, and he's on 20. Sierra got 1, and she's on 16. And where's Tyler? Tyler got 6.
Yes.
And he finished on 27. And Tyler is 3rd out of the jurors out of total. Jen got 36, which just still confuses me after how her storyline finished. But anyway, and Shireen got 33, and obviously she's a big character because we'll talk more about that later, either this episode or our special episode. I don't have the preseason predictions with me because Ben didn't leave it. He just pissed off to the footy show like the village idiot he is and just didn't leave the preseason predictions. So I'm just going to say I get the point this week.
Survivor Oz unprofessional again.
Yeah, Survivor Oz. We are the definition of unprofessional, Cable. So I hope you know what you signed back on for.
No, I realise, like, some people don't realise that we don't get paid to do this. We do this because we love it, and it's our own time, and nobody gets paid.
That's awkward. Did Ben not send you anything?
No. I just live on
people
for
that
my-
we're all getting paid. No, that
Hope my
makes a good
training
point. We get
means-
no money. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go.
No. I'm just saying. We just do it because we love Survivor and we love talking about it and expressing our passion for the game, I guess. And yeah,
Yeah, no one gets paid except
we're not. Sorry,
makes
the
a
long
living out of the winning the sweeps.
We're not professionals, pretty much. That's what I was trying to get at. We're just we're just amateurs, amateur Survivor talk people, whatever.
Don't sell us down too much. We're middle management.
No, well, we're not like if you talk about sports and athletes. We're not in the professional leagues, are we? Really?
We're the
Speak for
VFL. Ooh! Hashtag Oslet rivalry.
Mixed netball is on.
I noticed Paul's staying away from these things ever since I've come back. So that's the rivalry that I'm.
Yeah, we are the VFL of
Yes.
podcasting. So.
I work in the VFL. Thank you very much.
Well, exactly. That's why we're the VFL.
Actually, wait. Now I think about it. Yeah, we are. That's all right.
We've got the professional umpire from the VFL on the podcast.
Footy manager. Thank you very much. I'm better than an umpire.
Works on his birthdays. Gets yelled at. No,
Yep.
we're the Channel Saints of Survivor podcasting, which is the snug football team down here. So
okay.
The Channel Saints of. There you go, Ben. There's a reference for you when you listen back. Well, yeah, we don't have the predictions, so let's get into the final questions, and then we'll talk about the special announcement just briefly after that. But let's have our tip to win, and I'm still confused who the hell is winning this game, but Cable, tip to win.
I would now have to go for Carolyn.
Jared?
Mike.
Colin?
Carolyn.
Alex?
Are we allowed to do this based on who's been nominated for the thingy?
Well, we'll talk briefly about that this episode.
If not, Carolyn.
Yeah, we'll discuss that in a minute. Alex, your dark horse for the win.
God, I don't know. Sierra.
Colin?
Oh, this is really tough. I almost...
There's no one else.
I almost want to say... I will say Dan. I think that, yeah,
Ooh.
Dan goes to the end with Sierra and Will, and I think he has a shot.
Thanks, Cable. Jared?
Sierra.
Cable?
What are we nominating? Dark Horse?
Yep.
I'm a bit like Colin. I'm kind of thinking Dan a little bit, but I think either Dan or Rodney, I think they're very interchangeable. I think they're both upset enough sort of people or ruffle enough feathers, but if they both could get there... What?
Russell?
Did I say Oh, yes, Russell. Sorry, I thought I said Russell for a second. Oh.
You know, Russell leaves.
Yes.
I'm putting Rodney down for my dark horse. Like, his stock is going down, but I can still see it happening. So, tell me. Oh, and I'm just looking here. Leslie Neese last week said next to go was Tyler. So, congratulations, Leslie, for getting that.
Her predictions are officially better than Jonathan Penn.
Yeah, and Jared. Sorry, Jared. The truth hurts. So, who will be going home next, Cable?
Can you come back to me?
Jared.
Mike.
Didn't you say he was going to win?
Yeah, but this is Jared's prediction, so Mike.
This is Julie from Sam Wendell Sarah all over again. Colin?
I agree, Mike.
And Alex?
Yeah, Mike. I can't really go anywhere else.
And back round the Cable.
Yeah, you think Mike, but because everyone else said Mike, let's go for Dan Foley.
Ben never asked this question, but I always find it interesting because the players change week to week. Just look at Will a few weeks ago. So I'm still interested in this question. So, no, Ben. Player who you are most similar to or would play most similar to, Alex?
probably Tyler. I would have sat nicely in the background, being very calculated, and then booted out somewhere on the jury.
Hello, Vader.
That was an accident. I wasn't expecting that to go off.
I don't know what's happening at your house tonight, Cable, but it's tones galore. Yeah, thank you. Colin, player you're most similar to.
It's hard to pick on this season without making yourself look like an idiot. I'll just say Carolyn.
Jared?
I think either Tyler or Sierra. Somebody a little bit boring who doesn't get many confessionals. So maybe Sierra, because I'd just be like, have 0 confessionals the whole season.
But you would be good at rolling barrels, so that's a plus. Cable, player you're most similar to this season?
Oh, for the whole season? I'd love to say Mike, but I don't think I'd win as many challenges, so I'm probably more Tyler-ish.
I'm going to say I'm most similar to Will, minus the abusiveness, because I would just suck at every single challenge. No one would pick me to be in the challenge. I would just barely get any edit, except for one random
make sandwiches for everyone?
Yeah.
You get one of these too. Oh, it didn't work. Oh,
you left it hanging.
Give us your Will happy birthday greeting again.
Yeah, I'd be rolling down the platform. Will help me screaming all the way. Yeah, I would be Will, and 0 votes at the end. Alright, that wraps up that episode. But, of course, we've got to briefly talk about it. We're going to do a official episode. See, we're not amateurs. We're doing official episodes about this, where we'll talk much more in depth. I'm guessing that will come out next week. I haven't spoken to Ben because he's lost. Who knows where he is at the moment.
I was going to say, and James Pickering and others has obviously written an article in regards to this new announcement and the new voting as well.
Yes, so that article should also be out next week, I'm assuming. And I think maybe, Cable, did you contribute, or am I making that up?
I was trying to. It was dependent. No, it was a bit up in the air because until it was confirmed, and then the 40 was cut down to 30 and all that sort of stuff. So it was a bit. But we'll leave it up to James.
Well, we're still talking quite secretly. I don't know why, because we can announce that Survivor's Second Chance will be the next season, and fans get to vote out of 32 players, 10 men, 10 women, on who they want to see back on the show for a second time. No winners, all one-time players coming back, spread out from the board from season 1, hashtag Bring Back Kelly, through to season 30, 5 of them. So this is Survivor Second Chance, and you can vote on CBS.com, but let's briefly talk about it. We don't want to use up all our knowledge for when it comes to doing our official episode, but Colin, are you excited for Survivor Second Chance?
I'm so excited for this. I think this is going to be the first decent appearance we've had of returning players in who knows how long. They've got, especially the older players, I say older as in the first 18 seasons that they have. A lot of people who probably could have come back many times in the past, but it'll be very interesting to see how those people change their games. I've got mostly players from those first 18 seasons are the ones I'm looking forward to.
And have you voted yet?
No, I haven't. I'm going to be voting as soon as we're done here.
Well, why didn't you do it like I did while I was listening to you guys talk?
Because he's a professional, not an amateur.
Right.
Oh, okay.
He's the A, not the V in the FL. And he's got Pamela to deal with, so he's got other things on his mind.
But I will say, just if people are listening to this, you can, if you vote, obviously today, you can vote once every day. So you can vote. So till May the 20th when it shuts down or locks out or whatever. So that gives us 12 days or so.
They'll be announcing it, the cast live at the finale. And
No, I just think it's cool that you can vote. If you want to vote every day, you can. I like when you got that opportunity, if you're a big fan, to keep continually.
Well, KB, you say that you can vote once a day, but if you know a Groves, you can make 5 different fake CBS accounts and vote 5 times a day. As I have one of my accounts I made today is called Doopy Doo. So Doopy Doo has voted for Kelly Wigglesworth today. So you got to cheat the system, Cable.
Yes.
Yeah, Colin, you said you haven't voted, but can you give us a few hints at who you may be voting for this? And you have to say Kelly, or I am hanging up from you. Kelly Wigglesworth.
Well, Kelly's definitely going to be in there, but the ones that I'm most looking forward to are T-Bird, Varner, and PG.
Yes. What about Kimmy?
Yeah, I'll definitely be voting for Kimmy. She's not my very top, but I mean, we get 10 people for men or 10 men, 10 women, so I'll be voting for her pretty much every time anyways.
Yeah, we don't want to use up all our discussion, but I'll also ask you, what do you make of the season 30 candidates? Obviously, Mike and Carolyn are on the board, and apparently Probst reckons if one of them wins, they will get taken off, and the 11th person who got votes will go on, which I absolutely hate this, because I feel like if I'm putting votes on Carolyn, I feel like I'm wasting a vote if she wins. I can't stand this, but the 30 candidates, well, not the 30, the season 30, are Carolyn, Mike, Joe, Max, and Shireen. I think that's all of them.
Yep.
Colin, what do you make of the season 30?
I would have rather they left the season 30 people out. For one, there is the confusion.
I'm with you.
But the other problem is, I mean, it's okay if you get a really good contestant to bring them back one season later. I mean, it made sense to bring Rupert back. It made sense to bring Russell back. Made sense to bring Malcolm back. But the problem is that when you have potentially now 5 people that could all make it on there, we're going to be seeing a quarter of the cast 2 back-to-back seasons, and I just don't think enough time has passed to really warrant that. I would just rather they have left the season 31s off and gone with the first 29.
I'm with you there, because there's plenty of opportunities for the season 30 cast to come back in the future, I'm sure. That I feel like if they were going to bring them back, they should have had 1 male, 1 female. Having so many back at once, and they're all fresh, all newly kind of aligned, is just a bit much. But Alex, on to you. Firstly, what do you make briefly of Survivor's Second Chance? Are you excited?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a great concept, and I'm really excited to see some players return some of them who are less heralded players, and I think that's one of the really great things about it. I am very disappointed, I think like most people, that there are so many from recent seasons, because the ones we're all excited for are the ones from the really early seasons.
Yeah.
And it would have been so nice to see some more players from, I'm just going to throw season names out there, Fiji, Guatemala, Vanuatu, Gabon, Nicaragua. There are so many seasons with so many great players that just, you could have put them on the vote and it wouldn't have harmed anything, just putting them on there. Because I reckon a lot of people would have loved seeing players like that. I'm like Colin, that I don't want to have to see, Max, Shireen, and Joe and all them come straight back out again and play. I mean, I tolerated most of them once. I don't want to have to see them all again.
I'd say hashtag bring Twyla was robbed, but
absolutely.
So can you give us? Have you voted yet?
I have. I voted immediately after the episode US time, so pretty much as soon as it could. In fact, the site was crashed when I first tried to get on it.
Oh, really? That's a good sign. Do you want to give us a few teasers on who some of the people you voted for? And if you don't say Kelly Wigglesworth, I'm hanging up on you.
Of course I voted for Kelly Wigglesworth. Did some of the other women they've put back on it? Look, I probably followed a similar path to Colin in that I went very as old school as possible with a lot of them. And then from the ones from South Pacific onwards, it was just pick a handful and know it. You really don't care.
That was exactly what I did. I started at the bottom, ticked off all the people from season 1 through to, I'm not going to say 19, season 1 through to 15, and just ticked all of them off. And then I just picked like a few random ones, like Keith, of course. Please say you voted
pick
for
Steve
Keith.
Fishback?
Oh, yeah, 18. I put him on there, yeah. So 1 to 18. 19, maybe, yeah, not so much. And quickly, you kind of touched on it, but what do you think about the season 30 ones? Mike and Carolyn are in there. Do you think anyone's missing, just quickly?
I think that Mike and Carolyn going on is so stupid when they're already in the game. Why would they let you vote for someone that they already know the result to? I mean, if they do, one of them wins, I will applaud it and say, well done, you absolutely duped all of us. But, I mean, it just seems like a waste of a spot. You could have gone for anyone else at that point. And you've ruined a perfectly good season now. Well, it's not a perfectly good season, but you've ruined a potential ending to the season.
You've ruined a season.
Perfectly adequate.
Yes. Yeah, I guess it is perfectly adequate. And then
it's a quality season.
Yes, but you've ruined that, and you've kind of tampered with all. Why would we want to vote for them again if we're still watching them play now?
Yeah, I am with you. Just no season 30s, or just a couple. Bring back Vince. We want Vince. Cable, your turn. What do you think of Survivor Second Chance, briefly?
Oh, well, you can thank me for sending Lynn Spillman the email a few months ago. I think I tipped her off to a great idea. Mind you, I was probably pissed at the time when I sent the email.
What's new?
Look, I'm glad they've actually finally put this opportunity to the Survivor fans and actually acknowledged and respected, the fact that we watch the show and we want to see certain people back instead of production making all those sort of decisions. But I think there's some great choices they've brought back, people that I didn't think would ever want to come back or ever get asked back, like Kimmy Kappenberg, Kelly Wigglesworth, Jeff Farner. I thought they were people that wouldn't ever really consider coming back. But having said that, I still think that, like you said, Twyla, there's so many other people you just think, fuck, surely they're available, or there's people that they could have brought back instead of having so much recency bias. So, yeah, I like, don't have to, if you really want both my list, I can give it to you, but I did obviously...
Tell us a few of the people you voted for.
Oh, well, most of them were the old school, like T-Bird was an absolute lock-in, and obviously Kelly and Kimmy Kappenberg, PG, Shane Powers is a must.
Yes.
I did like Stephen Fishback, so of course Jeff Farner, Andrew Savage, Terry Dietz. I did vote Troy Zan. I did like Troy Zan. I like Jim Rice.
Yeah, I'll admit it. I voted Troy Zan.
I like Jim Rice, but the funny thing was when I was voting, and it's like you vote for 10. I clicked them thinking I've got 10. I'm like, oh, I got 6, and I'm like, oh, I don't really care about the last one.
With the men, I had 8, and I'm like, oh, what? They're not letting me vote. I've got to pick 2 more. What if you don't want to?
Yeah, do you feel like they should have given us another 10 to 12 options? Like, would it have hurt the poll to have another 10 to 12 survivors?
Yeah, although not Cliff.
Yeah. Yeah, but look.
Did you vote Keith, Cable?
I actually didn't. I didn't, but I will say something. And look, we
stick
probably
to the plan.
we probably shouldn't go too in depth because I'm sure we will on our actual episode about it. But I still can't believe Wu didn't get a vote. Final Tribal Council. If he gets a vote in this thing by any person, they're not a real Survivor fan. Seriously.
Well, and I can tell you with great assurance on my vote and Doopy Doo's vote and my other 3 votes, Wu did not get a single vote. I can assure you.
And that's nothing personal. I think I'm sure Wu's a great bloke. He'd be great to have a beer with, and he obviously has, he's got his morals and stuff like that. But when it comes to playing for Survivor, I know he got to the finals, but he had an invisible edit. Why the fuck is he back? Like, I just don't understand what he brought to the table to warrant a comeback.
Especially when Marty's not even on this list, and it wasn't even on the
I know.
lists.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'd guess that Wu's one of the people that warrants a second chance more than anything else, given he fucked up the first one.
Are you saying that you voted for Wu?
I can't even remember, honestly. You
Nice cover.
That one's a lot about that, won't they?
Just quickly, Cable, season 30 people, there's 5 of them.
And I agree. What did they say would be? Say if we all voted for Carolyn and she got all these votes, but she won. So what happens to her votes?
It goes to her votes are null, but then whoever was 11th, who Monica gets on instead.
Okay. Oh, look, I don't know. I think it's I don't know. I don't think they should have included any season 30 people. And you know what? I think they probably included them thinking this season was going to be massive, like they talked it up, and it obviously, from what I've seen on social media, it hasn't been as well received as they thought. So maybe that's backfired a little bit for them.
But we can say pretty confidently, can't we all, that every season 30 candidate will get on?
No.
Because I feel like the casual fans, and I hate to use that term, but they probably don't have the longest term memory. So it's like, oh yeah, there's Joe, put him on.
I don't know. Even the casual fans I know who have only got into it in the last few seasons absolutely hate this season. So it gave me faith. Yeah.
I mean,
it gave me faith that maybe
other than Sharon and Max, well, maybe Joe too, but I don't think that this season has made enough of an impression on people that they're going to be dying to see the people back.
Mm. Yeah, well, I definitely made sure I didn't vote for any of season 30 people.
I'm trying to think, and I believe I didn't vote for any. I voted Carolyn on 2 of my votes, but then I changed it to Sabrina on 2 of the other ones. So I did vote Carolyn. I'd love to see her back, but even then, I'd rather see T-Bird over Carolyn. Just quickly, Jared, I will get to you, but Colin, are you going to be voting Keith?
Oh, absolutely. You have to have those players who are just going to make a mess of things. That's why I want somebody like Keith in there.
Well, he's in our top 100, apparently. So,
what?
Alex, did you vote Keith?
Of course, got to stick to the plan.
Cable, you're the black sheep here. No.
I want to vote for players.
Oh, but Keith, he needs the second chance to learn. He even said in his campaign, yeah, I spit too much, and I said stick to the plan too much, but I'm going to play good now. Yeah. So, we need Keith.
But you know what? I reckon he's one that probably people would see as a threat, and he'd probably get the boot early.
I feel like, Keith doesn't fare well on... we'll talk about this kind of specific...
Yeah, no, okay, yeah.
Jared, are you happy to see us survive a second chance?
I am. I think some of the choices are a little weird, and the whole kind of... I don't know if they're entirely sure what they're going for. Reading some of Jeff's stuff, like, we just needed to bring back people who we couldn't have on an all-star season, but they needed another shot.
Yeah,
and some of these people, I'm like, that person easily could have come back for an all-star season. And Jeff, with his whole, like, no, not many of these people made it far in the game. I'm like, the majority of the people on this list made the merge, which, if I'm looking at it, is fairly far in the game. Like, there's not too many people who are voted out super early in this group. So, I mean, it's not really that kind of second chance. I don't know if I'd necessarily like to see that anyway. But,
well, Jared, you're completely right. I mean, look, that's a silly comment for him to make because I can quickly see a few people that finished in the finals and other people that were like in top 5. So, I don't know. I don't think Jeff knows what he's doing. I think he is smoking weed, actually. I think early in the season we said he's been smoking something.
The Nicaraguan gold.
Yeah.
Jared, have you voted yet?
I have not. I was waiting kind of for the big reveal at the end of the episode, watching it on go, and then surprise, surprise, nothing, which I think is, I suppose, a little bit to be expected. But I just kind of wanted to see the official reveal of it all, and then it didn't happen.
Yeah, it's funny they didn't do that because Australians actually can vote in the thing. Like, it's not region block like you would think it would be, like the sprint player of the season used to be. So it's funny they didn't have a big reveal on go.
Well, yeah, I agree with Jared. I was tuning in thinking they'd show it at the end, and they didn't. But I actually tweeted Go about 10 minutes before the episode showed to sort of say, you're going to show the big reveal, blah, blah, blah. And that was the one tweet they didn't respond to me. So, again, I don't know whether that was a region issue or what. But, yeah, right. I mean, we were allowed to vote, so...
Yeah, we're allowed to vote, but we're not allowed to watch the campaign videos for some reason.
Yeah, I think the weird thing too is it's going to come up at the reunion for this season. Like, it's going to be a thing that we get to see, and then everyone kind of who's not, I think everybody knows about it, but people who aren't following anything on social media or anything will come to that point and be like, what? You asked us to kind of vote for people in like the meantime and this happened. I think the reveal of the whole thing at the reunion will be great. I love the idea of all the people being there and them sort of heading straight off to catch a plane and fly out to location. I think that aspect of it is great and will be really well done.
That's going to be super exciting, but I feel bad for the 12 that don't get picked and they're left there in the audience, like poor Monica.
Oh, no, I voted for Monica, actually.
Oh, wow.
She could be the party kind of thing. You never know.
Yeah, let's not
I think she was the lesser of a lot of evils. There was a lot of people on that list I just couldn't give a shit about seeing again. So I thought, you know what, Monica was pretty sassy and kind of cute. Like, let's bring her back.
Jared, any hints at any thoughts at who you might be voting for?
Similar to you guys, probably all of the old school people.
Yeah,
as
if
many
you don't
as
say
possible.
Kelly, I'm hanging out.
Kelly, definitely. Probably Keith, and then who else?
Cass.
I mean, there's a couple of people who other people won't vote for. I probably will. I liked Vetus on his season, so I mean, I'll probably vote for him. And I know a couple of people who haven't voted for him and don't want to see him back. I mean, other than that, just sort of, I suppose, more the entertaining people and not the people who I look at and think, what did you do on your season? I mean, if they weren't strategic or entertaining, in my mind, I'm like, why are they even an option when you had so many other people you could choose from?
Yes. And Cable, yes, I did vote Cass, even though she's my nemesis, but I voted Cass.
You gotta, I mean, look, and that's the other thing with picking a group. It's not like, you know, like, it's not like your 10 are going to make it. They're just votes that accumulate, obviously. But I looked at it when I was voting for my 10 too. I'm like, well, who's going to create good TV? Like, you don't just want to pick the 10 best-looking women. You want to have someone like an Abby Maria and a Cass that's going to cause some shit. And you want a Shane Powers. Yeah, no.
My finger is hovering over to the hang-up button, Cable. Jared, season 30 contestants. There's 5 of them here.
I think there was some odd choices. With Joe in my mind, I'm kind of like, was he always an option, or was that kind of a last-minute thing with Jeff's whole Twitter reaction? Oh, people actually like Joe. I didn't know that would happen, or is that just Jeff kind of faking out?
Joe doesn't scream returning player to me.
No, I don't think so. But I think they did kind of try to edit him so that people wouldn't really, really like him. But I think people just kind of got attached to that person in the underdog position, sort of no matter how much they're shown of. Some of the other choices, Max, I don't really understand and don't particularly want to see him back. Carolyn and Mike, I'm kind of convinced myself that one of them is going to win the game, just so that they've put in kind of somebody who won't be doing the thing. Because to me, Carolyn is kind of a really odd choice. Just because she hasn't had a huge edit so far. Maybe they definitely wanted to bring back 2 females from this season. I suppose there weren't plenty of options, but if they didn't have to bring back 2 females, it's kind of just a weird choice. There's plenty of older women from the early seasons to kind of fill that spot. So I kind of think that maybe Carolyn is the winner of this whole season just based on her being in sort of the poll.
I feel like if I had to bring back 5 season 30 contestants, I'd bring back Vince, Joaquin, Lindsay, So, and Carolyn. So pretty much all the primo.
No Rodney Love?
Oh, Rodney, of course, Rodney. What am I saying? Replace Rodney with So.
You said So twice anyway.
So what? Alright, leave me alone. So what? We can discuss this till the night is done and the sun is up, but I feel like we should maybe leave some of the discussion for our episode, which at this point should be out next week with an article by James, as Cable mentioned, and this is going to be a pretty hot topic for the next 12 days, and even after that, knowing who's out there playing at the moment. So, yeah, CBS.com, vote. Hashtag Wigglesworth of 31. I think Survivor Oz is officially backing Kelly Wigglesworth, and plenty of others, but Kelly is our main target. We have to see Kelly Wigglesworth back on Survivor. And if that doesn't happen, bad things happen.
We should get Alina to do one of those voting kind of flyers that you fill in at a voting booth and have Wrigglesworth tick number 1.
Yeah, well, Alina, if you're listening,
yes.
get
on
work. Yeah, that's it for this week. Ben will be back next week if we ever find him. Who knows where he is? But he should be back.
Do we have to get everyone from CBS to vote him back on these things or not?
Ben. Yeah, Ben's been exiled. He's causing too much trouble around these parts, so we just decided let him go on his way. No, I'm joking.
It's Exile Island, isn't it?
Exile Island, Redemption Island. He's
Exile Island, really. Well, Tasmania was Exile Island.
Exactly.
Yes. That's what in the Australian Outback Season 2, that's to be Exile Island, Tasmania. That would be good. All right, we're going too much on a tangent now. So yeah, vote cbs.com. We'll be back next week. We're live. Oztopsy, sorry about that, Catherine and Dylan. I'm sorry, but episode 3 does suck. And if you're a fan of Eurovision, we've got Eurosvision, completely different website, eurosvision.com.
Cool.
Yeah, we got a website. We're official. We're like the AFL, not the VFL. So yeah, if you're a fan of that, check out that. We've got 4 episodes up at the moment. Next week we should have probably 2 episodes up, and it's the week of the finale. So lots of things happening that week. So that's going to be fun. Euros Vision, and of course the Amazing Race Oz. We've got 3 or 4 of us from that show on here at the moment, and been a bit delayed this season with that, but we're still getting them out there. 2 episodes of that left, as there is also 2 episodes of this. And before we go, there is one important thing that I've just remembered we have to do. Hashtags. Thank you, Cable. So, hashtag for this episode and a hashtag for the Oztopsy. Sorry, that was really amateur of me to not remember the hashtags. Cable, you mentioned it. Give me a hashtag.
For the episode, we're going to go hashtag scumbags. And for this one, our little Oztopsy, I'm going to go hashtag season 31.
Colin?
Yeah, I'm having trouble remembering the actual Survivor episode since we spent so long talking about second chances. So let's go hashtag second chances for both.
Oh, cop out. Alex, hashtags.
We'll go hashtag worst birthday ever for the specifically for the episode, not the Oztopsy. And we'll go with hashtag and now for another tangent.
Jared, finally, hashtag.
For the Survivor episode, we'll go with hashtag that's not right. And then for the Oztopsy, we'll go with hashtag Mama Freeze.
Yes, Mrs. Heidi. I'm still sticking by that. I'm going to go for the Survivor episode, hashtag they're all fugazis. That's Rodney's favourite word, apparently. Again, that is it for this week. Don't worry, your weekly dose of the Village Idiot, Ben, will be back next week. Alex, thanks for being here. Haven't been on too many of these this season, so good to have you on an Oztops.
No worries. Thank you very much, Noah.
And Cable, good to see you back on once again, even without Ben.
Yeah, no, I'm waiting for Paul.
Yep, where? I haven't heard from Paul in months. What happened to Paul?
Yeah, he's gone fucking down, he's tired now, isn't he?
Is he still recovering?
No, you're out to get him. Yeah, he's in hiding because Cable's, for some reason, has a beef against Paul, but that's another episode. We're on another tangent again. Colin, thanks for being here, and thank you to Pamela also.
Pamela was pleased to play her part in this week's recordings.
Hashtag Amazing Race Oz reference. Listen to it, even if you don't watch the Amazing Race Oz, because it can get very kooky during it. And what was that, Alan?
Kristen's line, like, I'm dateable or something like that?
I don't understand half the things Kristen says, to be honest. She's an interesting one. Hashtag teen mum. Hashtag swords. Tangents again. Jared, thanks for being here. Last but definitely not least.
Thank you. I just found my predictions and I put Tyler in 17th, so I'm looking forward to finding out if I got that point next week.
Yeah, you shouldn't have even bothered. Yeah, it's very appropriate. Alright, and maybe Ben will read them out next week because he didn't give them to me, so he'll be able to tell us what they were, as well as whoever goes next week. Just 2 episodes left before Survivor Season 30 is over and done with. So until next time, subscribe to our feed, follow us on Twitter, and we'll speak to you next time on The Train.